resources by nature are scarce. Just a quick analysis. All right, there's 4 types: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. Four types of resources: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial ability. And one thing that's important about resources is that they're considered to be inputs. Inputs. What does it mean for a resource to be an input?
Is it like, because it's the first thing we need?
Okay, potentially the first thing you need. Okay, what else? What else could you consider? Why would you consider a resource an input?
Because you need it to make something.
Okay, you need it to make something. I'll put those two together and I'll say this, that typically what a resource is what you're beginning with. It's your beginning phase. It's not what you want to end up with, but it's an input. You use it to gain what you don't own or possess. Remember we said that a resource is an item you use to gain something that you want to own or possess. So we're gonna use these items that we may possess in order to gain something we don't. And that's what's down here is inputs and factors of production. The factors of production we're gonna talk about in chapter 2, but I just wanna go ahead and expose you to this term right now, factors of production. Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial ability. Okay. Let's start with land. Land is a natural resource used to produce a good or a service. Natural resource used to produce a good or a service. Anybody got an example of land? Yes?
Like water or
Right, okay, water's a great one. What else?
Coal mines.
Okay, and I'll shorten that just a bit and call it coal. The mine itself is actually technically a resource too, but coal is what we're gonna fall under this category of land. What else? Plants. Plants? Plants is a good one, yeah, I like that. What else?
Oil.
Oil? Okay. Yeah. I hesitated because technically it would be the crude stuff. Oil sometimes indicates refinement, and you wouldn't necessarily find refined oil, but you'll find crude oil, the stuff that comes directly out of the ground. What else? Are those all the things that would fall under land when it comes to resources? Just those things?
No.
No? What else? What about anything on the periodic table of elements? What would fall under it?
is it called the minerals?
Minerals, okay, yeah, minerals, right. So let's think about that old periodic table. I know most of y'all probably had
Gases.
gases, okay.
Gold.
Gold, which is a metal, right? What about the other metals?
Aluminum, iron.
Copper, zinc, cobalt, okay, platinum. We're naming a lot of stuff off the periodic table, aren't we?
Uranium.
All right.
Plutonium.
Would it be a safe assumption to say pretty much everything on the periodic table? Right. And there's a reason for that. The periodic table are the most elemental forms of things that naturally occur from land, okay? So everything on there is a resource, okay? Now, I'm looking at this and pretty much everything here, water, coal, plants, all of those things are tangible, things we can touch, right? Are those the only things that are resources, things we can touch that come from the land?
No.
What else?
Gases.
Gases, okay, which does fall on the periodic table, but we'll put that here. what else?
Air.
Air is a resource, that's good.
Oxygen.
And that's kind of a broad category, because air is not just air, but you said it, oxygen, nitrogen, again, periodic table. Is that it, you think? What about the things that we can't see that we use for energy?
Radiation.
Radiation?
Electricity.
Radiation, that's
Because it comes from, because you gotta have a radioactive element, and most radioactive elements are.
okay. So you're talking about like uranium, plutonium, again, periodic table stuff, that's right. What about windmills? Are they using some type of resource to produce electricity? Gaining something we have already to get something we don't have? Okay, so what's the resource there?
Wind.
Wind, okay. What about other forms of energy production that you can't see?
Solar?
Sunlight. Sunlight's a big one, right? Do we just use it for energy? We use sun for a bunch of stuff. We use it to grow plants, resources. We take in sunlight energy, vitamin D, all that stuff. We need it. It regulates our sleep cycle. That's important, right? So not only are resources tangible, but they're also intangible, okay? And then there's two categories, renewable and non-renewable. What does it mean to be a renewable resource?
It means it can come back.
Yeah, it comes back. What on there is a renewable resource?
Grass.
Gases?
Well, grass, but.
Yeah,
Really,
grass. Huh?
really the only ones on there renewable are the plants and, and the wind and the sun, that's it.
Most of the intangible are typically renewable. Now, that's not always the case, because I don't know if you've heard this or not, but at some point they're projecting that the sun's gonna run out of energy. It's a big old fusion ball in the sky, and at some point fusion runs out. Who knows when that'll be? But that's not something that I'm necessarily gonna ask you to recall, but just know that land, there's two different types, renewable and non-renewable, and be able to give me some examples of the differences between the two, okay? All right, the next one of my favorite ones, is labor. So we said land, labor, and capital, and then entrepreneurial ability. Second one being labor. Now typically most people think of labor as going to work and doing some type of work and getting paid for it, right? But this definition says, it takes it a little bit further, and it says it could be a physical or even a mental effort used to produce goods or services. Now, how could you have a mental effort for labor?
Like psychology.
Like what?
It's like psychology or something.
Like
I
psychology?
mean, like a psychiatrist.
Like a psychiatrist? Okay. All right. Expound on that just a little bit further.
I mean, it's labor, but it's like more mental than physical.
And are you saying like from the psychiatrist standpoint?
Yeah, like
That's
just
right.
talking, like, it's all mental.
They're not physically
Mental
lifting any
toughness.
weights or hitting on any coal here. They're
Just
laboring
sitting there
mentally.
talking.
That's right.
Mental toughness.
Not the toughest job?
No, I said mental toughness.
That's right, mental toughness, okay. Well, what if I'm an accountant, and I'm an accountant for a firm, and I sit at a computer most of the day? I'm not swinging any axes here, but am I laboring? Right, I'm using a mental effort, okay? So labor can it can come in the form of physical or mental in order to produce a good or service. Mr. Moriarty said about, they're not producing a good there. And I'm gonna hold off on that because we're gonna talk about that in a second. I don't want to spoil the surprise. But labor will always require time. Time is the trade-off. Time is what you're spending in that example, okay? Just like the psychiatrist, they're spending time with the client and they're gaining the monetary resource for that, okay? Or if I'm going to the coal mine and I'm swinging a pickaxe, I'm using my time and my physical labor in order to gain a resource, which in this case is also money. All right, the next one is capital. Land, labor, capital. Capital is an item that someone can possess that will generate income without the needed input from an individual. Sounds wordy, but it's not. To put it another way, it's something that you own that will generate a resource for you, with or without you.
So basically passive income.
Passive income, exactly right. The ownership of an item that will generate passive income for you. Anybody have any ideas why I'm asleep on this slide here?
Because you're not doing anything.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything, and hopefully I have some capital things out there, some capital assets that are producing income while I'm asleep. Now, most of the time in business, capital is gonna be followed by another term. Asset. Anybody had accounting so far in high school or?
Oh, we're taking it now.
Okay, you covered assets yet?
Kind of.
Kind of. What do y'all know about assets? Anything particular you know about an asset?
Asset is typically, an asset isn't, just one thing, it can be many things, and it's usually something that you own that, that can, or has the ability to make you money.
That's right, that's right. So I'll sum that up and say typically an asset is something you possess, that has value and generates income. And that's why these typically get paired together, because capital asset just essentially completes the definition. Capital asset is something of value. An asset, we're gonna say, is something that generates income without you being there. So capital asset are things that typically you occur in business, all right? An item that one owns that will generate income without the need of the input from an individual. Now that could be something like say a rental house, something that I purchase and I own, and there's a tenant that lives there, and that tenant pays rent monthly. Now that rent doesn't require me. Now it might require me to go knock on the door and say, hey, I need your rent. But other than that, it doesn't require the input of me. I can sleep and still be generating income from it. Questions so far? Entrepreneurial ability, the last one that was added. You'll find this in some textbooks, but I like to add it too because it's not covered in land, labor, and capital. It's an ability, all right? It's an ability. It's the possession of the imagination to develop a new product or a new process. And if you have me for entrepreneurship at any point in the future, you'll know that entrepreneurs' main goal is to solve problems. Now, I listed a couple entrepreneurs here: Jeff Bezos, Mark Cuban, David John, Mark Zuckerberg, and me. But what problems did these entrepreneurs solve? Anybody?
They created something.
They created something. Give me one of them and tell me what they've created.
Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook so that people could interact with each other.
Okay, Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook so that people could interact with each other. That's right. Now, if these entrepreneurs solved problems, what was the problem before Facebook? Did anybody see the movie about Facebook? No? Anybody know much about why Facebook was created?
Wasn't it something for like college to judge based on how they look or something?
Yeah.
You know, I think that's actually right. I forgot about the look part, but I knew that,
He was going to Harvard,
I think it was Harvard.
And he created it so that people from Harvard could talk to each other, ask each other out, or say how they look. But no one at Harvard used it. It was only people outside of Harvard.
Ah, okay. Only people outside of Harvard. And then he realized, it's like, hey, maybe everybody would like to be able to do this. Maybe if I run into somebody at the gas station and I want to keep in touch with them, but I also want to see you know, who their friends are, other pictures of them, what they do during their life when I don't see them. You know, I wanna see what their day-to-day is like. Facebook solved that problem that people didn't even know existed. What about Jeff Bezos? What did he, Amazon, right? What problem did he solve?
He's, what's the problem that people don't have to go to the store to get something?
Isn't that convenient at a time like this? Not having to go to the store and click a couple buttons and get something in 2 days, right? Did y'all know that they're trying to do even better than 2-day shipping, free 2-day shipping? Did anybody know that? In some cities, they even do 1-day shipping, right? And if you didn't think that was great, well, at some point, they're gonna try to get to a point where they can deliver stuff to you by drone, right? Maybe you forgot your notebook when you came to class today. Well, a couple clicks of a button, just run outside real quick, drone drops your notebook out for you. A problem you didn't even know you had, but now that you've got that ability to do it, doesn't it seem pretty cool to be able to do it? Yeah.
That'd be kinda creepy though, just like whenever you order something, the drone just delivers it.
Yeah. New things are always a little weird and creepy, right? Like self-driving cars, a little weird and creepy. Ads that know what you're thinking you want without you even having to type it in, right? You know, they're recommending a pair of shoes to you. Like, who knew I was looking for shoes? Or who knew I like those type of shoes? New things are usually a little bit creepy. All right. Okay. This slide is going to be fairly important for as long as we're in this class. So I want you all to be able to understand this. It's a really simple concept. I tried to break it down to be really simple, but it's going to serve as a point of reference for the rest of the class. And it's types of products. Types of products. There's only 2 types of products that exist. And you can think about anything that you would buy or consume. Literally anything that you would buy or consume is going to be either a good or a service. It's going to be a good or a service. Now, without even going into the definition of these 2, the good and the service, could anybody tell me what they think the difference between a good and a service is?
A good is something like that you can buy and use, and a service is like someone doing something for you.
Okay, like you're right there at it. And I'll argue just a little bit on top of that is the difference between those 2 is tangibility. Okay. Can anybody tell me what it means to be tangible?
Something you can see or hold.
Yeah, something you can touch, right? And so I've got 2 examples here, right? First of all, I'll read the definition. A good is a tangible product used to satisfy human wants. A service is an activity or something intangible that's also used to satisfy human wants. 2 pictures here. One, I just bought an ice cream cone and I'm extremely happy about it. Chocolate, vanilla, and chocolate, all in one cone. Food at all. Cherry and sprinkles too. And the other, I'm providing a service. I'm sweeping the floor. Now we know with the ice cream cone, we can touch the ice cream cone, we can hold it, we can eat it, we can lick it, we can feel it going down, and we can feel ourselves being full after we ate it. Service, on the other hand, whether you're providing the service or receiving the service, can you actually touch the service? No. Think about that Amazon example I gave you where you, boom, press the free 2-day shipping, right? As soon as you hit that button, some warehouse somewhere, your product comes off the shelf, it ends up in a box, it ends up taped up, it ends up on a delivery truck, and then the guy who's delivering it to you brings it to your house, sits it on your door, rings the doorbell, now you've got whatever it was you ordered. Now, you can touch some parts of that process. You can touch the conveyor belt, the package roll on, you can touch the truck, you can even touch the delivery driver, even though that'd be a little bit weird. But can you touch the process of that package getting from where it was to you? You can't actually touch the process, right? You can't physically touch a service, whereas you can physically touch, hold, or eat a good. Types of products, good or service. I challenge you to find something that doesn't fall into a good or a service. when it comes to products, a challenge. All right. Anybody have any questions so far? No questions. What do y'all think so far, econ? People who've had econ so far, does it make a little bit more sense?
Yeah, it was like,
Kind of
it's like going
same
over the
stuff.
first semester, you know, just a little bit.
So was that a?
It's like going on the first semester, just remembering what you remember.
Yeah.
But like putting some more stuff on top of it.
Okay, all right, well, cool. I plan to expand your knowledge of it, as we go along, and I think you'll find it's really second nature. You gonna say something?
Thought of something for your challenge right there.
Talk to me.
The ice cream machines at McDonald's.
Ice cream machine.
Cause they never work, and they don't feel that good, and they never work, so they're not providing service. And it is a product.
Okay. You stacked a whole lot of stuff on top of it, but you're right, they never work at McDonald's for some reason. But, when it comes to a product, you have to consider, all right, what it is we're referring to, right? So if we're referring to the ice cream from McDonald's, would that be a product or service, or good or service?
Well, it makes it good,
The machine does make it good, that's right.
and technically the service is getting it out of it and getting it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, hold it right there. So the service that ice cream machine is providing, who is it providing a service to?
Customers, workers and customers.
Think just a tad bit deeper. Y'all were close, but just a tad bit deeper. The ice cream machine that McDonald's purchased, who is it providing a service for?
McDonald's,
Right. Why is it providing a service for McDonald's?
because they have an ice cream machine.
Yeah, because guess what? I mean, they could still sell ice cream. They could hand make the ice cream, right?
Only ice cream.
Only ice cream. They probably should hand make it so they'd actually have some on hand, right? But
McDonald's work making ice cream.
That is an arm workout right there, making homemade.
yeah, oh, it's tough. But I mean, that even kind of gives you a way of thinking about it, right? Is that, okay, each item you can think of is either going to provide a service, and a lot of times businesses will buy things that help them provide goods or services, right? Like for instance, Amazon, if they invested in a whole fleet of drones, right? Did they buy a good or service those drones that they purchased? The drones that they purchased, is that a good or a service?
Would it
It's
be
a
both?
good that provides a service.
It's a good that provides a service. Exactly right. All right, well, we're gonna leave it there. I'll let you all go. If you have any questions, feel free to hang out. Otherwise, I'll be posting the video. You can rewatch it.